The battle for first place in the NFC East is happening tonight in prime time. The Eagles collide with the Cowboys at AT&T Stadium for their first of two matchups of the 2019 season. Doug Peterson saying earlier this week, hey guys, the sky is not falling. He's got bold confidence in his team. The stakes couldn't be higher. First place on the line. Welcome to the kickoff show presented by Exalta. Amy Campbell, Fran Duffy. Fran, a lot of energy going into this one. A primetime matchup, a great rivalry in the NFL. The Eagles looking to bounce back from a tough loss against the Vikings. The Dallas desperate for a win after losing 3 in a row. A lot of energy going into this one for both teams.
Yeah, huge rivalry. Best rivalry in the NFL. No rivalry game has been broadcast in primetime more than Eagles-Cowboys. There is a reason for that. There is always high stakes in this game. I can't wait for kickoff here in a few minutes.
And the Eagles have gone to overtime 3 of the last 4 times they have played at Jerry World, so we should be in for a good one tonight. Let's talk about this matchup a little bit. Let's unpack it. We know the Eagles defense has kind of been up and down, but they're looking to be that defense they were against the New York Jets. The Jets maybe not as talented as an offense as Dallas has. The Dallas offense has been up and down, but really has a bit of a new identity under Kellen Moore. What do you see the challenges being there for the Eagles?
Yeah, I guess first thing is just understanding that, for everybody at home, 10 sacks is a little bit unrealistic. You can't expect that week after week. But when you go up against this Dallas offense, they attack you in lots of different ways. And this year with Kellen Moore, they are doing a little bit different things schematically. So you're seeing more play action, more motions, more shifts, more stacks, more screens. They're making it a little bit more quarterback friendly. And with the addition of Amari Cooper midseason last year, they had the full offseason to kind of get him incorporated into that scheme. They're doing a lot to get him open. Dak Prescott has taken the next step as a passer. So all of those things come together, and now you're seeing what this team can do from a pass game standpoint. So there's a lot that the Eagles defense has to be able to account for in this game. Like I said, they try to attack you in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, the Eagles defense getting some guys back. Jalen Mills will be back on the field for the first time since October 28th of last year, almost a full calendar year. Very excited. Ronald Darby is active heading into this one as well. The secondary, very excited to have them. Let's talk about the linebackers a little bit, though. Jim Schwartz saying he needed some more production out of that group. This is a group that's in flux. Zach Brown no longer with the team. Alex Singleton gets promoted from the practice squad. They're going up against one of the best running backs in the NFL in Ezekiel Elliott, who has not lost to the Eagles. He is 4-0 against the Eagles. What do you see from that matchup there and the challenge that Elliott presents?
Yeah, I think when you look at Ezekiel Elliott, certainly one of the 1 or 2 best running backs in the NFL based purely off the way that he plays the game, the way that they want to play the game. Regardless of what they're doing offensively, they might be losing by 2 touchdowns in the second half. They're still going to run the ball through Ezekiel Elliott, through better or worse. That is going to be their philosophy. So the Eagles have got to stop the run in this game. Don't let Ezekiel Elliott beat you. Then you account for everything else on the back end as well. But stopping the run is going to be imperative. And when you look at this linebacking core coming into the game, look, Nate Gerry has more than acquitted himself, when you look at what he's done so far this season. And then you look at Kamu Grugier-Hill. If you talk about production at the linebacker spot, look, this summer, he was making big plays in coverage, downhill in the run game, forced fumbles, fumble recoveries, interceptions, pass breakups. I think the Eagles are hoping to get a little bit more juice now that he's done his preseason, kind of getting a little bit more incorporated into the defense as he comes back from that knee injury. That's what they're hoping for here tonight.
And let's move back to the next level of defense, the secondary. Look, Jalen Mills is back, and everybody's talking about it. Everyone is so excited. Ronald Darby also active for tonight. How big is it? How big of a boost is it for the secondary to have these 2 guys back?
Is it easier to just say that these were the 2 guys that started in the Super Bowl, right? I mean, you look at Jalen Mills, you look at Ronald Darby. These 2 guys were the starters in the Super Bowl that helped lead the Eagles to their first championship win. So I think when you look at both these guys, they give a big boost because, number one, you've got great speed and playmaking potential there with Ronald Darby at right corner. At left corner with Jalen, you've got instincts and competitiveness, 2 of the most important traits at the cornerback spot. This is a guy that does not back down from a challenge. You think he's worried about Amari Cooper in this matchup? I remember watching him as a rookie against Antonio Brown. He did not waver. So to me, that's what you get from this duo.
Yeah, and of course, Jalen Mills, beloved around here, one of the nicest people on this team who's worked so hard, and it's been such a long journey back. So I know everyone is so excited to see him back on the field as well. Let's also touch on Andre Dillard, who's going to get the start today with Jason Peters out for this one. Actually, let's head over and take a look at the warm-ups as the Eagles are taking the field, getting ready to take on the Cowboys. There he is himself, the Green Goblin. He's ready to fly, Fran.
Yeah, and I think as you get a sense of where Jalen comes into this game. we'll see how incorporated he is into the defense, but just kind of having his mindset back on the field, having a guy that has his level of competitiveness will be huge for this defense.
All right, and as we take a look at the starters, let's talk about Malcolm Jenkins. We talked about that linebacker group being a little bit in flux. Of course, also Nigel Bradham not going to be playing in this game. He's injured. Malcolm Jenkins, he can play a little bit of linebacker for the Eagles.
Yeah, and he's done that. He does a little bit of everything, whether he's playing on the back end at safety, down in the box, in the slot, or outside at corner. He does a little bit of everything for this Eagles defense. I mentioned all the different ways that Dallas is going to try to attack you. I'll talk about later why communication is so important. Malcolm Jenkins, he's the glue in that secondary to keep it all together.
All right, and here we're watching the secondary guys again. What kind of challenge do you see the Dallas passing game providing them?
Well, really, when you talk about from a talent standpoint, I mean, Amari Cooper, obviously one of the better receivers in the NFL. They went and acquired Randall Cobb in free agency. They have a second-year wide receiver in Michael Gallup, who's been banged up a little bit this year, but when he's been on the field, he's been making plays. He made plays against the Eagles last year. This is a big kid who's rangy, who can attack downfield. So Rasul Douglas will get the start on one side, Ronald Darby the start on the other. These guys will be challenged by this receiving core.
Yeah, Amari Cooper really opens up the offense for Dallas in a way that he just is such an important piece of that offense to get the passing game going over the top. With Ezekiel Elliott kind of running the ground game. We're seeing some tight ends here, Fran. I know you love to talk about the 12 personnel. How do you see that as a challenge for the Dallas defense, a really solid Dallas defense?
Well, remember last year in this stadium you saw that play by Dallas Goedert that was a long touchdown that came back on, let's just call it was a ridiculous offensive PI call. So, when you get a guy like Dallas Goedert, Zach Ertz, Miles Sanders, you see there, number 26, those weapons down the seam in the middle of the field working against the linebackers and safeties, that's the biggest mismatch for the Eagles in this game. If you're going to say, where do they have a huge advantage offensively? Getting those three guys matched up on Jalen Smith, Leighton Vander Esch, Jeff Heath, down the middle of the field, that's where I think the Eagles will try to attack in this game. Obviously, you want to establish the run with Sanders and with Jordan Howard, but in the passing game, middle of the field is where the Eagles can really make their money.
And as we take a look at the offensive starters for the Eagles, a few big things to talk about. Obviously, Carson Wentz running the show there, but Andre Dillard getting his first NFL start. Jason Peters out, and Coach Doug Peterson saying earlier this week, we have all the confidence in the world in Andre. This is why we drafted him, just plain and simple.
Yeah, and I think the thing to watch early on, Amy, in this game is going to be how is Dallas going to deploy their defensive ends. DeMarcus Lawrence typically lines up against the right tackle, and Robert Quinn typically lines up against the left tackle. If Robert Quinn is matched up on Andre Dillard, I kind of like that matchup based off what Robert Quinn has done this season, because he's not trying to win with strength and power and length. He's trying to win with his feet. I'll take Andre Dillard in that battle. If you're going to say, okay, I'm going to try and run by you, all right, let's try and run by Andre Dillard and see how that works. Now, we're going to see what happens if he tries to win with his strength and power. He has not done that on film so far. We'll see if he tries to do that or if they put Lawrence, who is that kind of a player, over to the other side, and we'll see how the chess match will ensue from there.
Yeah, I think the trenches is really where your eyes should be going in this matchup, and we know Jim Schwartz has said, hey, the defensive line is the engine that drives this thing. We're looking at some secondary guys now, but let's talk about the defensive line a little bit and their matchup against the Dallas offensive line, but also that run game.
Yeah, and it's going to be huge, obviously, in this game. To me, one of the bigger matchups is going to be, look, when you look at this unit as a whole, they're quote-unquote healthy. All of them are active. So Tyron Smith at left tackle, left guard is Connor Williams, Travis Frederick at center, Zach Martin at right guard, Lael Collins at right tackle. Three of those guys coming to this game banged up. One of them has been dealing with injuries throughout the course of this season, and the other missed all of last year. So I think ultimately the Eagles, they can come in and try and find their matchups to win along this front. I think if you get a guy like Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox matched up on some of these players one-on-one, that's where you can hope to try and make some plays in the backfield. It's all about pressuring Dak Prescott, because if you look at their drop in numbers over the last few weeks, it's really been about pressure. If you can get to Dak, throw him off rhythm, that's been the secret to success for opposing defenses.
Well, you're not really always sure which version of Dak Prescott you're going to get, so we'll see what the Eagles get tonight. Let's head back out to Jerry World. Dave Spadaro standing by. Dave, Coach didn't quite guarantee a win earlier this week, but he said, hey, we're going to go to Dallas and we're going to win. How has been the morale in the locker room since Coach expressed all of that confidence in his team?
Yeah, I mean, it really doesn't change a lot, Amy, from week to week. The Eagles are a confident group. Tough game on Sunday. Lots of injuries, some drama this week. The release of Zach Brown, not ideal. Then you've got the Cowboys telling Doug Peterson to shut up, basically, and stay on the sideline. So the rivalry is here, the emotions are high, but all week I think the Eagles have been very focused, understanding just how important this football game is.
Yeah, and obviously the atmosphere sounds like it's going to be electric down there. Yeah, I'm sure there will be some Eagles fans in attendance. We know Eagles are everywhere. Well, Dave, what is the big storyline you're going to be following in this game?
Well, I mean, the storyline is fairly obvious here. The injury factor. The Cowboys all of a sudden are healthy, and Amari Cooper looks good running out here, and Tyron Smith and La'el Collins, they're set to go. So the Cowboys in a hurry got really healthy. The Eagles get back Jalen Mills. My understanding is that Ronald Darby will be on a pitch count tonight. Orlando Scandrick in the slot. The Eagles missing Nigel Bradham and Tim Jernigan and Darren Sproles and Deshaun Jackson and Jason Peters. So the storyline is, how do the Eagles overcome all of this adversity? Is this the game that galvanizes this football team at such a critical moment? The second of 3 road games, first place in the division at stake. We all know just how big this game is. How do the Eagles circle the wagons and do something that not many people outside of the team believes it can do tonight, and that's beat the Cowboys here at AT&T Stadium?
Well, Dave, we know these are two teams that are very familiar with each other. When you look at the matchups, what is the key to this one for the Eagles?
I mean, I think defensively for the Eagles, it's very obvious. Ezekiel Elliott is 4-0 against the Eagles. He averages 4.8 yards per carry. In the meeting last December, he had 40 touches, 12 of them receptions, to keep the chains moving. So the Eagles have to do a job on Ezekiel Elliott. They're the second best run defense in the NFL. The Cowboys are going to give it to Ezekiel Elliott all game long, whether it's working or not. So as Fran, as you said earlier, up front, the Eagles really need to win some one-on-one battles and keep the linebackers clean and let them get to the football. But the number one priority, no doubt, is containing. You're not going to stop him, but containing number 21, Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah, he certainly commands a lot of attention. Dave, I know that mac and cheese in the press box there is legendary, so have some extra for me, and we'll talk to you after the game.
All right, thanks, guys. Have a great night.
All right, great stuff there from the Eagles Insider, as always. Fran, we heard Dave's key to the game. What about yours?
Yeah, well, we talked earlier about just what this Dallas offense looks to do and how they try to attack you. And to me, communication is going to be so important. That's going to be my key to the game, because I think ultimately you look at what this Dallas offense tries to do. They want to try and spread you out with different motions and shifts to try and find those matchups. So here you're going to see Ezekiel Elliott moved out of the backfield to the right behind the tight end Jason Witten. That brings a defender out of the box and creates a stacked set. Those two receivers lined up directly in front of each other. That creates a situation where you want those corners to back up off the line of scrimmage. Don't create a situation where you get picked or rubbed, and now you've got an explosive play after the catch. This now gives Dallas the ability to create room for those back receivers to be able to work. You see all the different concepts that can be worked here from a pass game standpoint. Now the Eagles have to communicate. How do you want to cover this? Do you want to go straight man-to-man coverage where I've got my man, you've got yours? Do you want to do what's called a banjo coverage where the inside defender gets one receiver, the outside defender gets the man running towards the sideline? Or do you want to try and disrupt the timing of this and put one right up on the line of scrimmage, and then the second defender peels off and gets whoever goes deep? It's going to be imperative, however they try to cover this up, that you have all your T's crossed, your I's are dotted. You've got to be able to pick up all these different shifts and motions from this Dallas offense.
That was really cool. I think we need to do that every week with you,
Fran. We probably will try to.
Yes, that's awesome. All right, for my key, I'm looking at the Eagles secondary. They need to be solid, and this is a unit that has struggled throughout this season to really stop the deep ball. And that's something, Fran, this goes back to, I mean, even when they won the Super Bowl, there was a lot of yards over the top there. So this is something that this team has been trying to get right. Of course, a boost from having Ronald Darby and Jalen Mills back as well. But Amari Cooper for the Cowboys offense, to me, he just changes the whole thing because he can get things going over the top. And they already have that run game going. The way he opens the offense up for Dak Prescott, to me, they're going to have to be able to contain him. A little banged up this week, says he feels good going into this one. But, we heard Dave saying Cooper looks good there in the warm-up, so that's kind of what I'm looking at, the secondary. Can they be locked down? Yeah,
and to me, I look at those shifts and motions that I broke down in my key to the game. They do a great job of putting Amari Cooper in motion, giving him room to work, and not allowing corners to be able to press him at the line of scrimmage. It's going to be really important to make sure they keep him locked down.
All right, and we are going to head back out to Jerry World. We've talked about our keys. Let's talk about some players to watch. Merrill Reese and Mike Quick have that for us. Hey, Merrill.
Thanks, Amy. We are here, and it is a beautiful day outside, and still the stupid roof is closed. I don't know why. It's a great day. They have a removable roof, and yet it's closed.
They want the noise.
They
want the
noise.
advantage.
That's it. All right. Who do the Eagles want to show up today in a big way?
So I'm going to watch number 91, Fletcher Cox. I think it's a perfect game for Fletcher to get off, not just play well, but get into the stat sheet. If they're going to beat the Dallas Cowboys, it begins up front. The defensive line, beginning with Fletcher Cox, they've got to be on point tonight.
I'm looking for Jalen Mills. He hasn't played a football game since last October 28th in London against Jacksonville, but he's worked so hard to get back, to get over that foot injury. He's been through a lot.
Yep.
I saw him on the elevator coming down to the lobby tonight, and he was wearing a pink suit and pink shoes, and he has the green hair, but he's got green and silver in his heart, and he can't wait for this game to begin. This is his time to do the thing he loves most in the world, play football. So tonight, maybe he has a big, big game. All right, Amy, back to you.
All right, thank you, Merrill. When we come back, we will have Mike Quick going one-on-one with Eagles quarterback Carson Wentz. That interview from Pond Lehocky, it's really good. You don't want to miss that. If you're watching us on social media, head over to the Eagles app and PhiladelphiaEagles.com. We'll be hanging out there for the rest of our show. We'll be right back after this.